So I saw someone the other day asking, how are you handling IK, FK switches? And I think a lot of the responses were really good. They were talking about, go to this frame and use locators to, get where the joints are and line up your pose, when you space switch. And it's all stuff that you would have to do very, very manually. I just didn't see anyone posting about specific tools that do this. So I did drop that information in there, and I do want to make a really quick video about it. I really try to do these quickly, and last time I filmed this, I did 10 minutes. It was just way too in depth. Anyway, here is the tool. I'll put a link to it wherever I post this. It's called IKFK Switcher. Creators Peter3D. I've obviously rated this and owned it, if it's free. For Maya, there's some documentation here, how to install, workflow example, but I am going to run through this really quickly. And it's, once this is on your shelf, it's as easy as it can get. So I have everything on the base layer here, and this works if you do it over the whole frame range. It also works if you do it over a selected frame range, which is pretty cool. But this is all in FK, and let's go to front view. I want to clean up. I'm cleaning up some mocap here. That's really, really jittery and messy. And again, I can go in with bake out my FK controls and clean it up. But let's just do this in IK, so much easier. So let's grab all three of those. We'll say FK to IK, bang, pull vector locator, and IK hand locator. And whether we want to clean this up by hand, whether we want to run like smoothing filters on it, whatever we want to do, we can now very, very easily do. Let's say, for example, I just want to clean up the up to down here. I want to keep you going up to here. Probably not the greatest workflow example here because I'm just chopping out keys. And then let's go down as our body goes up, so we get some, opposite. And we don't want to pop back up, so that's also not great practice, but let's see what that looks like. Not the greatest curve you've ever seen. But look at that, like so much easier than doing this before. And then you can just quick, bang, hit delete setup, and that information is baked back onto your FK controls. Now, the one thing to remember, I think here, and if it is somewhere, I apologize if I just didn't see it, that information is temporary controls. That is not baked onto your actual IK controls. For example, if I switch this to IK blend, you can see, it would have still been this way if I deleted the setup, but this is not on your IK controls. And you can do this if you want to use locators and constrain that information onto your actual IK controls and bake it just so it's saved maybe between. It's a little bit of a longer setup each time to do, making sure that the information's on, but you don't really need to do that because you can always just redo this process to get back your IK controls. Or, if this was in IK, it's really bad. It just works the opposite way too. It has IK to FK with temporary FK controls. There's obviously some options here: bake interval on ones, reducing keys, intensity, remove keys with same values, hide original controls. The documentation page does just lead you to this store page, but it has a YouTube video that explains it, an original one, so there's probably updates, how to install, workflow example, all that stuff that I went over before. Really cool. Last thing I want to go over is this extra options thing, which allows you to generate code based on what you're doing. So I can just drag, I can say FK to IK, generate code, and then I can drag that directly to my shelf bar. So when I click on it, it just immediately does FK to IK, based on the rig that I'm working with. Which I don't mind having the UI open and just keeping these options up, or just, this is here. I just click it once and then I can choose what I want. But if you really wanted it to be fast, or somehow, I'm sure there's a way to somehow tie that to a hotkey as well, you could do that. But a very cool, very, very useful tool. I would highly recommend it for animators looking to improve their workflow and their efficiency.